Coming up on the British TV Watchlist.
He was physically the anti-hero. Definitely not Superman.
From cozy mysteries to intense police procedurals, we talk about the characters, performances, series, and episodes from your favourite British TV shows.
Hey, welcome back to the British TV Watchlist. It's Michael T. And this is it. The top 10. Okay, several weeks ago, someone on Facebook asked a very simple question. Who's the best detective of all time? And it got me thinking. And that question turned into a full ranking of 100 detectives from British and Commonwealth television, scored across 12 criteria. And here on the podcast, we've counted down from 50 to number 1 in 3 installments. And this is the last stretch, your top 10. So if you want the top 40 from 50 to all the way to number 11, check out the previous 2 episodes. We begin at number 10, Father Brown from Father Brown, a Roman Catholic priest solving murders in his own 1950s Cotswold parish of Campbellford, whether Scotland Yard wants the help or not. Mark Williams has played him since 2013. The earlier seasons included Sorcha Cusack as Mrs. McCarthy, Nancy Carroll as the socialite Lady Felicia, Alex Price as handyman Sid Carter, and then later on, Emir Kenny as Bunty. Later seasons swapped in a new supporting cast around Williams. I like the earlier episodes more than the later ones. They leaned a little bit more into the mystery and were just slightly less cozy. Mark Williams has been consistent throughout, but that original run of characters, that was the best. The later actors are fine, but they didn't have that same chemistry. At number 9, Robbie Lewis from Lewis, or Inspector Lewis, a direct spin-off of Inspector Morse, set 5 years after Morse's death. Lewis returns to Oxford as an inspector himself. He's widowed and rebuilding his life. Lewis is paired with D.S. James Hathaway, a former priest in training turned detective. Kevin Whately reprises Lewis, and Lawrence Fox plays Hathaway, tight-lipped and sharp, quoting theology the way Morse used to quote opera. Rebecca Front plays their boss, Chief Superintendent Gene Innocent, running interference from above. Robbie is the quintessential common man. In the Morse series, he was a little bit goofy, maybe because of his youth. In Lewis, he's older, more mature, more experienced. His personal struggles were present but never overwhelming, and even his romantic life felt natural. At number 8, Endeavour Morse from Endeavour, the prequel to Inspector Morse, following a young detective constable Morse through 1960s and 70s Oxford. 9 seasons, tracking him year by year, basically, until the timeline finally catches up to where Inspector Morse begins. Sean Evans plays the young Morse, and Roger Allam plays D.I. Fred Thursday, his mentor. It's a partnership that carries the whole show. By the final season, the story had reached 1972, and Evans directed part of it himself. This is the best of the Morse and Lewis world. Endeavour was smart, personable, yet complex. The pairing of young Morse with Thursday was brilliant, and their relationship gave us a lot to chew on. I think he made a mistake not pursuing Joan in the end. Hey, we're going to get back to our top 50 countdown in a moment. First, let me tell you about the good folks at CozyEarth.com. I'm looking right now at some of their best sellers. Bathrobes are up there on the list. Comfortable, and you think about it, they're subtly sexy, right? Imagine you and your spouse in your own bathrobe. It's something to share as a couple. You can find it at cozyearth.com. Get one for each of you. Use our promo code and you can get an extra discount of up to 30% when you check out. It's the best deal available. You help support our podcast, we get a small commission. It's a win-win. BTVW1. That's our promo code. BTVW1. Use that at cozyearth.com. Okay, we're up to number 7 on our countdown. John Barnaby from Midsummer Murders. Detective Chief Inspector John Barnaby took over the fictional county of Midsummer in 2011 when his older cousin Tom retired. He's still in charge. The show is currently in season 26. Neil Dudgeon plays him. John Barnaby is even-tempered and observant. His current sergeant is Jamie Winter, played by Nick Hendricks, and Fiona Dolman plays his wife Sarah. Annette Badlin plays forensic pathologist Dr. Fleur Perkins. John Barnaby is just as professional as Tom, but not quite as stiff and stodgy. At number 6, Tom Barnaby from Midsummer Murders, the original lead, running Coston CID for 13 seasons before retiring. Tom was the template for the show. John Nettles played Tom. He's more formal than his younger cousin would later be. Jane Wymark played his wife Joyce, and Laura Howard played their daughter Cully. He had a calming air about him, a steady cop with a loving family. It set the tone for the whole series. Okay, number 5, Jane Tennyson from Prime Suspect, the first woman to lead a murder inquiry for Scotland Yard on British television. She had 2 battlefronts, the case in front of her and the hostility of the squad room. Helen Mirren played Tennyson for 7 seasons across 15 years. It's one of the great performances in British television. The show tracked her all the way from DCI to detective superintendent. The show was groundbreaking and courageous. She was a strong character facing the times she lived in. I like that the show wasn't a soapbox with a blatant message. They said it without saying it. Show, don't tell. At number 4, Inspector Morse from the show Inspector Morse. The show that gave birth to 2 spin-off series. Morse solves murders among Oxford's dons and old money, fueled by opera, crosswords, and real ale. John Thaw starred as Morse. He was brilliant and deeply flawed. Kevin Whately played Sergeant Lewis years before Lewis got a show of his own. I appreciate that Morse kicked off the character and everything that followed, but I didn't care for the show myself. Production values affected me here, probably. The character was strong and typical for its 1987 time period, but I tried twice, couldn't get into it. Hey, we'll get back to our countdown of the top 50 British Commonwealth detectives of all time. Just a pause for a moment here. I've never been a hat guy until recently. And I'm looking at the hats at Pins and Aces. Their logo hat is actually pretty cool. It's an ace of spades and a pin and a flag. Pins and Aces. It is really cool. Lots of different styles and colors for men and women. And one of their coolest items, if you like to indulge on the course with adult beverages, check out the beer sleeve or the liquor sticks. You can imbibe on the back 9, skip the 19th hole altogether. You can find it at pinsandaces.com. And if you use our promo code, you can get an extra discount of up to 30%. It's the best deal available at Pins and Aces. And you can help support our podcast at the same time. We get a small commission. Here's our promo code, BTVW1. BTVW1 at pinsandaces.com. Okay, now, here we go with the top 3. If you think about it enough, you can probably guess who these are. They are giants in the British detective world. Number 3, Miss Marple. There are several adaptations. Jane Marple is an elderly amateur sleuth in the village of St. Mary Mead. She solves murders through nothing more than close observation and a lifetime of noticing how people behave. Joan Hickson played her for the BBC from 1984 to 1992. Geraldine McEwen took over for ITV starting in 2004, and Julia Mackenzie succeeded her from 2009 onward. Julia Mackenzie was my favorite. She had a youthfulness about her. Geraldine McEwen played a more frail version, but she was very lovable. Miss Marple is a lovable character. She knows someone everywhere she goes. She taught us that eavesdropping can be okay, and that there's real power in listening and observing carefully. Some of the other actresses who've played Marple include Helen Hayes and Angela Lansbury. Number 2, Hercule Poirot from Agatha Christie's Poirot, a meticulous Belgian private detective who solves crimes purely through his little gray cells, as he would say. He's fastidious about order in everything from his mustache to his moral reasoning. David Suchet played him for 25 years across 70 episodes that adapted every Poirot story Christie ever wrote. It ended in 2013 with the episode Curtain. Hugh Fraser played Captain Hastings, and Philip Jackson played Chief Inspector Japp. Poirot was elite, fastidious, polite, refined, and self-deprecating. He was physically the anti-hero, definitely not Superman. His strength of mind overcame all of that. There were a number of actors who have taken on the role, mostly in one-off projects. You've got Peter Ustinov, Albert Finney, Ian Holm, Kenneth Branagh, John Malkovich, and others. Suchet was the best. He defined the character. I've said it before. Suchet is Poirot, and Poirot is Suchet. It would be challenging to try recreating him at this point, but there's one in the works as I speak. All right, now, number 1. The British Commonwealth top detective is Sherlock Holmes. I'm sure you guessed it. He appeared across multiple adaptations, the character the entire genre traces back to. A consulting detective solving cases through pure observation and deduction. Arthur Conan Doyle came up with Holmes back when he was a young doctor, barely getting by, running a practice in Southsea on the southern coast of England. Doyle had studied under a surgeon named Joseph Bell up in Edinburgh. This guy could look at a patient and just know things, where they had been, what they did for work, before they even opened their mouth. Doyle never forgot that. So he puts this character out there in 1887, a novel called A Study in Scarlet. That's where Holmes meets Watson. They end up sharing rooms at 221B Baker Street. Didn't really catch on right away, though. It took the Strand magazine picking up short stories a few years later, in 1891, before Holmes actually became a thing people cared about. And then, funny enough, Doyle got sick of him, killed him off. In 1893, threw him off a waterfall fighting his archenemy Moriarty. Thought that'd be the end of it. Readers didn't let him get away with that one. People canceled their subscriptions. Some of them literally wore mourning armbands walking around London. So 10 years later, Doyle brings him back. By the time he's done, you've got 4 novels and 56 short stories. Holmes basically becomes a blueprint for every brilliant, slightly insufferable detective character that came after him. Jeremy Brett played him for Granada Television from 1984 to 1994, and widely considered the definitive television Holmes. There's Basil Rathbone, too, of course. He played Holmes in the movies from 1939 to 1946. Other heavyweight actors include Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, Michael Caine, Robert Downey Jr., Ian McKellen, Henry Cavill in the Enola Holmes movies, and more. And Benedict Cumberbatch reinvented him decades later for BBC's Sherlock. It moved Holmes and Watson into present-day London. Sherlock Holmes is the king. I'd argue he's a case study in branding. His name evokes the art of investigating. And that signature line, "Elementary, my dear Watson," is something no other detective owns. It turns out Conan Doyle never actually wrote that exact phrase. The closest he came was in The Adventure of the Crooked Man, where elementary and my dear Watson appear in the same scene, but separated by dozens of words, not joined together like we know it. It came from the stage and from film decades later, but it stuck to Holmes so completely that people assume he said it. He never did. No matter who plays him, though, Sherlock Holmes is the smartest guy in the room, and he is your number one British detective of all time. And that's the list, all 50, top to bottom, from Constable Benton Fraser at number 50 to Sherlock Holmes at number 1. Some of these calls were easy. A few of them I'm still not entirely settled on myself. If your favorite detective didn't make the cut or landed lower than you think they deserved, let me know. And remember, we've published a list of all 100 detectives. If you want that list, just let me know. Email me info@michaeltmedia.com. Before we go, we got to say hello to some listeners in Charleston, South Carolina, USA, Pepper Pike, Ohio, and Baku, Azerbaijan. How about that? If you'd like to support this podcast, check out our Patreon site. Your support helps me create and produce the show. You can also support us by shopping at CozyEarth.com and PinsAndAces.com. Use our promo code BTVW1 to get as much as a 30% discount when you check out. Okay, that's it for now. That's the countdown. Thanks for listening to the British TV Watchlist. Until next time, cheers.
The British TV Watchlist is written and produced by Michael T. in Honolulu, Hawaii. Remember to subscribe, like, and share. All rights reserved. Copyright 2026. Michael T. Media.